Once again, it's time for a dinosaur episode on here. The series that used to be like a boring version of my dragon episodes, but ever since the introduction of the grumpiest narrator to ever come across PopCross Studios, Dr. Champagne McGreggor, this series has become a little bit more of a hit. Today I'm taking some classic movie monsters and turning them into dinosaurs, partially inspired by a comment left by Hank Adams Productions, who suggested that I take classic Universal movie monsters and make them dinosaurs. I do have one of those in there, but I broadened it out a little bit more so I could use characters like The Predator and Gremlins and stuff like that. But either way, I think it's a great idea and I'm excited to get into this video. So let's jump into it, shall we? Let's go! Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Alright, Doctor, where am I supposed to start, huh? I mean, I've never been to therapy before, but honestly, I've got about 1,000 stories about the insane job I used to have that I could rattle off to you that would be a pretty good indicator of why my psyche is about as easily agitated as a rattlesnake on Colombian nose candy. I mean, I was the lead geneticist at Dino-Cross Park for like 15 years, and there was rarely a single second of sanity in that place. Oh, you know what? How about I just tell you about the time they made me turn a bunch of movie monsters into dinosaurs? That's probably a good place to start, alright? So, the higher-ups at this place basically just thought I could do anything, like I was a flippin' genie or something. So one day they says to me, "Hey, Champagne," because none of them had the bleeding respect to call me Dr. McGregor, they says, "Hey, Halloween is coming up, and we was thinking, kids these days love scary things, so how about you turn some famous movie monsters into dinosaurs for our park?" And I says, okay, I guess I could have some of those done for Halloween 3 years from now. And these clowns, despite having worked with me for about 12 years at that point, and knowing the process of how long it takes to make a dinosaur, says, "Oh, you can't have them done for Halloween this year?" And I just stares at him and says, "You mean in 7 days? Have you forgot about a little thing called, I dunno, aging? It's the thing these dinosaurs will have to do after I get their genetic coding all worked out and get them incubating, which will take about a year in itself." They looked all disappointed, like a kid that had just been told he can't go to the moon for his 4th birthday. But said fine, get them going anyway, cause they'll be good attractions eventually. So I just gets down to it. First one I did, I started easy. I did Dracula as a pterodactyl sort of thing. The Dracudactyl they was gonna call it. Basically just used some vampire bat genes and some flying dinosaur genes, spliced it together, tweaked its skin pigments to make it black and red and white. Wasn't the hardest dino I ever made, but trust me, things didn't get easier or any better from there. The next thing I worked on was a Gremlin Raptor. That one I actually thought I had some clever ideas for. They told me to make it, I said alright and went at it. Little did I know they had very different expectations for the thing than what I was planning. Of course, after so many years working there, I should have known better, right? So I designed the thing's genes so it would be born with a lot of feathers, right? Like how the gremlin normally looks all fluffy and cute at first. So this thing, for its first 2 years, looks like Gizmo. You know, the little fluffy Furby looking gremlin. But then, as it ages, it loses all its feathers and gets bigger, then bam, the thing looks like the gremlins when you feed them after midnight. It's also a pretty cunning thing, and it eats other dinosaurs' eggs. Of course, we just put ostrich eggs in its containment or something, so it's not destroying our other dinosaurs. See, I had this all planned out. This was one of them times when I actually got a little bit into my work. I thought I'd done everything right. That is, until I got into work one day and one of the higher-ups comes up to talk to me about the Gremlin Raptor. She says to me, "Hey, Champagne, last night I came in and fed the Gremlin Raptor after midnight and it didn't transform or nothing. Have you not gotten around to that part of it yet?" I explained what I'd done and how it would lose its feathers at a certain age, and she says, I don't know, Champagne, I think it would be cool if kids could come in for overnight stays and get to feed the Gremlin Raptors to see him transform. Now that, as insane as that all sounded, that wasn't the craziest part. Her next request made about as much sense as the time a higher up said they wanted me to make that Minecraft dinosaur able to explode. Cause see, next she says to me, oh, and you should make them so when they get wet, they clone themselves, like in the movie. I waited for her to chuckle or something to show that she was joking. You wanna guess whether she was or not, Doctor? Now I'm guessing you'd tell me I should have just been happy with my own work, right? Looking back, regardless of what that clown higher-up said, that dinosaur I made was pretty great. I can see that, looking back at it now. But at the time, it was real hard to be happy about anything I was making when right after some ridiculous person would come up to me and say I should have invented cloning just to make the dinosaur that I'd basically already made from nothing a little bit more interesting. Anyway, we put a pin in that conversation and just never got back around to finishing it. There were plenty of other stupid requests to come that buried that one in the insane history of my time at that stupid company. So, this next one, they specifically want me to work with something from Ghostbusters. Originally, they asked me if I could make a ghost dinosaur. As you'll see from these stories, a lot of the time I had no idea if they was kidding or if they was really just as dumb as a box of rocks. A ghost dinosaur, I says, would you mind clarifying what you mean? I gives them the benefit of the doubt, being nice. I says, you mean like a dinosaur that's all green and slimy looking like that one Slimer ghost from the movie, yeah, something like that? And they says, nah, like one that is translucent and can walk through walls and stuff. Sometimes I actually wish I could live with minds like those clowns, being that stupid must be kinda relaxing, right? Anyway, I didn't even bother explaining why that was impossible. I just said, I don't think it's a good idea to make a dinosaur that can go through walls, seeing as how it could escape the facility a little bit too easy and go around eating people. Not that a fair share of people who worked at Dino-Cross Park weren't already getting eaten or stomped on regularly anyway. The security there might as well have been a cardboard cutout of Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons. Anyway, I redirected him and said, what if I take the devil dog thing, Zuul from Ghostbusters, and make a dinosaur look like that? It already looks a bit like a dinosaur anyway, and so they agreed. That far into the job, I was getting wise to how to manipulate the clowns a little bit, but it really didn't make working there that much easier. Anyway, the reason I talked them into using Zuul was actually because I'd read a newspaper article earlier that week about some museum in Canada where they'd gotten an Ankylosaurus skeleton, brought it in, and named it after Zuul. I have no idea why they did that, but seeing that article meant I didn't even have to think about what kind of dinosaur I was going to turn Zuul into. I took some Ankylosaurus genes, spliced in some carnivore stuff or something, I don't really remember, but the thing came out looking like a pretty mean Ankylosaurus. Couldn't walk through walls or nothing, but it did smash through the walls a few times. They put it in a biome that it wasn't too happy about being in, and regularly it went at the walls with its tail. Even killed a few of our other dinosaurs out of nowhere. Guess it turned them into ghosts, huh? I mean, saying that implies I think dinosaurs have souls, which itself is a bigger philosophical and theological question that I don't want to waste my good time with you on, so how's about I just move on to another story, huh? Now, the last one I made in this batch was The Predator. This one, for once in my bleating life, I was actually on the same page with the horror-ups. I already knew I could make the thing camouflage cause I did that with the Miles Morales Spider-Man dinosaur. Also made the thing a raptor, but based it a bit more off the Utah Raptor to make it bigger and scarier than the Gremlin thing. Plus, I'd just seen Jurassic World at the time. Not by choice, mind you. See, I may not have mentioned this to you yet, but I don't actually like dinosaurs. I think they're pretty boring, which is why it's admittedly so ridiculous that I worked as a dinosaur geneticist for so long. Anyway, at work they had a party that I was obligated to go to where they played Jurassic World cause they thought it would be funny. Yeah, real funny showing a movie about a dinosaur breakout at a place where we had near weekly dinosaur breakouts and regularly had employees killed by escaping dinos. Great idea, you bunch of clowns. Anyway, we all watched and admittedly, I thought the look of the Indominus Rex thing was actually kinda cool. So I took some inspiration from that thing in the design of the Predator dino. So this thing turned into an ultimate hunter. I even managed to give it an extra set of bone claws on one of its arms to look like the Predator blade things. At 2 years old, the dino was grown up, ready to go and staying in its own private containment since it was an absolute killer of a dino. This was one of them rare times when everything had gone perfectly. That is, until someone thought it would be fun to see this thing fight against the Xenon Rex. That dino had a little bit of an alien-inspired design, so they thought, let's throw them in a cage together, see what they do, and maybe that could be an attraction at the park, letting people see the Predator fight against the Xenon Rex. Of course, as any sane person would have expected, chaos ensued. The two dinos busted out of containment during the fight. People tried to separate them, get them back in containment, and of course that got a lot of people killed. Eventually, they got the Xenon sedated and the Predator dino just escaped. We genuinely never got it back in containment. We either know if it's somewhere else on the island, or if it drowned, or if it actually learned to swim and got away from the island and is off in the jungle looking for Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. But either way, that's a pretty good example of how insane and irresponsible the place I worked was. Glad I'm gone, but think I'm gonna need a lot of sessions with you to clear all the crazy out of my head. But, speaking of which, you ain't really done nothing here. What's the deal? I mean, I know I'm supposed to talk a lot, but you ain't said nothing yet, doctor. What kind of therapist are you? Buddy, I'm not a doctor, you're still in the waiting room. Then why didn't you say nothing earlier? Why did you let me go on for so long?
Honestly, cause your life sounds pretty exciting. You gotta work on being more positive.
You don't bloody say.
Et voila! Movie monsters as dinosaurs. Always love doing another round of Champagne McGreggor. He's a really fun voice to do, even though I still don't know if he's supposed to be Australian or British. But the main point is that he's super grumpy, and that he's working on himself a little bit. Love to get more suggestions for things I could turn into dinosaurs, or other things I could do with Dr. Champagne McGreggor as the narrator. Been thinking of doing some superhero stuff with him, since he always wanted to be someone who gave people superpowers, and anyone who's seen his past episodes will probably know that. Speaking of which, if you're new to the channel and you want to see more stuff turned into dinosaurs, or just hear more of Dr. Champagne McGregor's rantings, you can watch my previous dinosaur episodes. His character was first introduced in famous video game characters as dinosaurs, then I followed that with Spider-Verse characters as dinosaurs, and then he got his whole own original Multiverse Tales story. I'll link the playlist at the end of this video. But besides that, that's all for today, except for the fact that I am now trying to end all of my videos on some kind of positive, uplifting kind of note. So the thought that I want to leave people with today is the idea that you, as you are right now, are already complete. There are lots of things that you can do to improve your skills in different areas, or just become a better person in general, and that's an important part of being alive, but right now, as you are already complete, and any additions will not make you more complete than you are right now. And I hope you can sit there and just kind of feel that wholeness within yourself. I know these outros are going to be a little bit cheesy to some people, but I really like doing them and I really want to do them, so I hope people enjoy them. But that's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching, I love you all, and I will see you all in the next video on Friday. Goodbye.